Right, hi guys, Simon again from Team Brink, and this deck profile is going to be on my Dimension deck. Now, I've tried to go at a few different angles with this deck, and it's taken many remakes, but I'm getting close, I can feel it. But it's not quite there, so again, if any additions you think would help, I would be most grateful if you could leave a comment. Right, let's get started. Firstly, I've divided this deck into sections again, because that's where I think it's easiest. So I'm going to go through quickly. The first three cards I've pulled out are mainly to do with bringing cards to your hand, and also easy way of playing them if you're short of cards. And so I'm going to start with the one and only Marauding Captain, known and loved by all. When he's normal summoned, you can special summon on level 4 or lower monster from your hand, so it's quite handy. Then I'm going to pull out a Gauze the Emissary of Darkness. Now, I normally picked a warrior in this deck originally, and it turned out alright, but I got a bit behind with a few cards, so I've added a few different ones in, although I do have to say Solidarity went nicely in that old deck. But he can either be special summoned when you have no cards on your side of the field and your opponent attacks you. The attack still goes through, but you, in addition to this, get a token with attack and defense equal to the attack you've just taken. And that's quite handy. But also, if it's effect damage, you can inflict damage to your opponent equal to that amount you've just taken. So it's quite handy, actually. And we have a Rota, or Reinforcement of the Army, as it's more commonly known. This allows you to get one level 4 or lower warrior monster from your deck to your hand. Now, that's when Marauding Captain can be easily summoned. I originally had 2 Marauding Captains in, but I found a way to get around that loop and still keep him in. Secondly, we have power-up cards. Now, I've got a Dash Warrior. When he's summoned, he starts on 600, but in his damage step, he gains an additional 1200. So 3-star, which is good for tuner material. But he then gains 1200, so he'll be on 1800 for his damage step, which isn't too bad, actually. Next, we also have a Fighting Spirit. The equipped monster gains 300 for every monster your opponent has on their side of the field. So it's quite handy. On to the tuner material. We can start with 2 Quillbot Hedgehogs. Now, with the tuner monster Junk Synchron, I'm sure you've all heard of the combination to get out Junk Warrior, which is in my extra deck, which I'll go through at the end of this. But as soon as... in fact, no, what you can do is... How did it go? Oh, yes, yeah. Well, if you have Junk Synchron on the field, you get to bring 1 Quillbot Hedgehog back from your graveyard, and so you'll then have 5 stars straight on the field as soon as you summon Junk Synchron, and you can bring out your Junk Warrior. But if you did have 2 Quillbot Hedgehogs in your graveyard, if you were so lucky, you could bring out your Junk Synchron, Junk Warrior even, and he'd gain an additional 800 attack, which could quite handy, taking him up to 3,000 or 2,900. Oh, 3,100. Even better. Right, then we have a Dark Tinker. Now he's quite handy as he's a 2-star. And also his effect is when he is sent to the graveyard, look at the top card of your deck and you can either return that to this place it was in or put it to the bottom of your deck. And then we have the Quick Draw Synchrons. Now that's quite easy, as you can also do the same with Quillbot Hedgehog. You discard a Quillbot Hedgehog, bring out a Junk Synchron, no, a Quick Draw Synchron, sorry, and Quillbot Hedgehog comes back to the field. You'd have 7 stars, and you can do a Synchro Summon for something like Nitro Warrior, which would require Nitro Sun, which is mighty helpful. We've got a few prevention cards in here, and so I'm going to kick it off all with Zero Gardener. Very helpful with warrior monsters. You contribute him in either turn, prevents any warrior monsters from being destroyed by battle on your side of the field. You take no battle damage, and Yeah, it can be activated in either player's turn. 0 attack and 0 defense, I say. One of my favourites next, Sonic Chick. It's a 1-star, 300 attack, 300 defense, but can't be destroyed by battle with an attack higher than or equal to 1900, which is quite helpful. So those high attack monsters kind of jog on. Next we have Fortress Warrior, which came in one of the Yusei starter decks. It's the one with Junk Destroyer in. I'll have to have a think of the name. But he, once per turn, if he would be destroyed by battle, he isn't, and you take no battle damage from battles involving this card, which is quite helpful as well. He stopped quite a few of my opponents. We then come on to the 2 Command Knights. Now these are very helpful as they give an additional 400 attack for every warrior on to every warrior on the field, and if there's another monster on the field, he can't be attacked, so you can do the Marauding Captain loop with 2 of these, and I think these are slightly better actually than Marauding Captain. For monsters in the prevention, we also have Rise of the Dawn Monarch, and what he does, he bounces 1 card on your opponent's side of the field to the top of the opponent's deck, so that prevents them from drawing 1 turn, or drawing something new 1 turn, and obviously it's quite handy as he only requires 1 tribute and has 2,400 attack. We then have Cold Wave, which prevents your opponent and yourself actually setting magical trap cards until your next turn and activating them. So that prevents any counters. We have a Book of Moon next, which flips any opponent's monster face down when they're about to attack or just summoned. Or even your own if you've just been bottomless and you decide to flip your own face down. Quite handy. We have a Trap Stun. Now this, this stops any traps taking effect this turn, and it doesn't destroy them though, it just negates their effect and they go back face down. We then have a Defense Draw, which is one of my favourites actually. The battle damage you would take that turn is reduced to 0 and you get to draw a card, which is an added bonus. And we have a Nightmare Wheel. Now this prevents your opponent's monster from changing battle position, attacking, and each one of their standby phases, I think it is. No, your standby phases. Your opponent takes 500 damage, so it's quite helpful. We then have an anomaly of a card. I couldn't think of what to put it in, so I just called it a negate card. By order of the Emperor, and if an opponent's monster would be summoned and its effect would then activate, what you can do is you can tell them to draw a card. Well, yeah, if you want to negate the effect, they draw a card. Sort of like Dark Bribe, but for monsters. Doesn't destroy them though. I'm going to have to pause it there, otherwise this video will be going on forever, so I'll be opening up another video very shortly.